Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're going to give folks about 15-20 seconds to join as you all enter the room, and then we'll get started. Okay. Welcome, everyone. My name is Lindsay Chatfield. I'm with the National Community Action Partnership, and I'm here with Laura Griffin as back-end tech support and our CEO, Denise Harlow. Laura and I are behind the scenes to help things go smoothly today. Please don't hesitate to reach out to both of us on chat, and we can help you with troubleshooting. If you're disconnected from the webinar, you can rejoin through the vFairs platform. So if you have that, the link you just clicked on to get here handy, that will do it for you. We are going to be recording this session, and it'll be made available to registered attendees for 30 days following the end of the conference, although I think that yesterday's are already live. So if you've missed something, you can find yesterday's sessions today. All attendees are on mute. Please submit your questions through the Q&A and or the chat function. We're going to be answering some questions throughout, but then we're leaving some time at the end for some Q&A. We will also be popping a survey into the chat in the beginning and at the end. We really appreciate your feedback. That's how we improve these sessions and our conferences. So please make sure you spend a couple minutes to do that, and we will remind you. With that, I will turn this over to Denise Harlow to introduce our panel. This session is leveraging your WAP with single-family housing partners.
Thank you, Lindsay. Hello, everyone. We are glad that you are with us here today, morning or afternoon, wherever it is in your part of the world. Weatherization is such a critical part of community action's history, its legacy. We estimate probably, is it 80% or so community action agencies around the country run weatherization, and the vast majority of weatherization, again, is done within a community action frame. We see it as a critical element of both energy conservation, job creation, and decreasing the energy burden for families, so they have more resources in their household to spend on other necessary things: food, education supplies, clothing, educational opportunities, car, transportation, whatever those other opportunities might be. And a good weatherization program develops and strengthens other partnerships that helps them expand the work that they're able to do. And today's session is about just a really fantastic partnership in Cook County, Illinois, Chicagoland. And it's going to show how we can partner with other national groups who have local affiliates, kind of like Community Action, a national network with local organizations. It's going to show the leadership of these two groups coming together to help families, first of all, and to expand the breadth and depth and reach of their weatherization program. A great example of what we hope many organizations are able to do with their weatherization program. Our panel today, I'm just so excited. Harold Rice is the president and CEO of CETA. CETA is the Community and Economic Development Association of Cook County. I always call him CETA. Harold is a leader. When I have to look for leaders in this network to talk about how do you lead a community action agency toward growth, sustainability, especially during challenging times, I'll turn to Harold any day of the week. He is a fantastic partner. He's going to be joined today by John Patty. He is Chief, let me just grab the title correctly here, John, Chief Expansion Officer, or CXO. That's got to be the best three-letter title that I've seen, CXO. John's been at CETA since 2014 and has more than 20 plus years of project and construction change management experience. Again, weatherization has its certain set of measures, but in order to get a home ready to have those measures installed in a way that's effective and efficient, you got to have the house ready. And there are a lot of things that weatherization is not an approved measure right through the weatherization funding. So we either need other resources or other partners. And CETA has a great relationship with Rebuilding Together Metro Chicago. Now, here at the national level, we've had some conversations over the years with Rebuilding Together, again, a national organization with local affiliates. And today we're joined by Wanda Ramirez, who is the CEO of Rebuilding Together Metro Chicago. So you got Harold and you got Wanda together at the executive level, and she's going to be joined by Lisa Miranda, who for over 20 years is currently serving as their project director overseeing single family and community center repair programs. You have more expertise on this panel than we could ever hope to have about these kinds of partnerships. So I'm just going to be here in the background for a little bit. I hope that you put your questions into the chat window. I hope you follow up with our presenters today. This is a great example of working with, again, other national organizations that have local affiliates or local chapters or local organizations, just like Community Action does. And we can take this learning and share it more broadly with the broader networks of both Rebuilding Together and Community Action. So Harold, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I look forward to today's presentation.
Well, first of all, good afternoon. And Denise, thank you so much for those kind words. As I look towards leadership within the network, I lean upon you. And so I really appreciate the kind words. I also want to thank all of you who are attending and have agreed to attend this session on leveraging your weatherization assistance program with single family housing partners. Specifically for this presentation, the partnership with Rebuilding Together. Rebuilding Together is a leading national nonprofit organization who provides safe and healthy housing, and they've done it for over 40 years. Rebuilding Together Chicago is one of many affiliates of Rebuilding Together, and it started with the vision and a conversation with a past board member of CETA, who actually served on both boards of CETA and Rebuilding Metro Chicago prior to my tenure. And then once I became president and CEO of CETA in 2014, the conversation started. And I attended a gala where I first met the executive director, Wanda Ramirez, back in September 2016. And actually the conversations went on and off around 2015. But it wasn't until I attended that gala that Wanda had me at hello. And so with that, I then came back and spoke with my director of the weatherization program for CETA, and that was John Patty. Given the turmoil that CETA was in and the restructuring that I had to do at CETA, we had somewhat of a slower start than what we thought we should have had, but it made sense. In order to develop a strong relationship, have a meaningful impact in our communities, we needed to fix our home first. And after we did that, and after John and his staff pulled together the weatherization program, we then reconnected with Rebuilding Together Metro Chicago in December of 2016. And just so that I want to make this real clear, John's title right now, I promoted him recently to CXO, which is Chief Expansion Officer, and the X is really for X Factor. John has done an amazing job with our weatherization program, and then getting together with Wanda and her staff, we realized we forged and managed and built a meaningful, impactful partnership that was not only for the times then, but is really for the times going forward. So with that, I will be quiet and let John take over.
Sure. Thank you very much, Harold. So I think you said you made a key comment, right? Is you and Wanda connected, and then you became the convener of connecting Wanda and I, so that Lisa and I could come together. And I think something that's interesting and that people really need to define is, there's collaboration, right? Which is the action of working with someone to do something. But then there's partnership. And partnership, right, is an action of an agreement of two organizations that involved a multitude of people to get to the end goal. And the end goal for this partnership, and specifically for Community Action, is always to provide the best service to the client and give them the greatest benefit within all of discerning rules that are involved in the process. So what I'd like to do at this point is I'd like to give Wanda Ramirez, the CEO of Rebuilding Together Metro Chicago, an opportunity to talk a little bit about Rebuilding Together and their National Rebuilding Day. Wanda?
Great, thank you so much, John, and thank you, Harold, for that great introduction. I'm so happy to be here with you all today. And thank you to Denise for inviting us. And we're excited to be here and share information with everyone that's attending today. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of the background of Rebuilding Together. I'm the Wanda Ramirez, the CEO of Rebuilding Together Metro Chicago, which is actually an affiliate of the national organization Rebuilding Together. And we're one of about 130 chapters across the country whose mission is to repair homes and revitalize communities. Locally, Rebuilding Together in Metro Chicago has worked in Chicago and suburban Cook County for almost 30 years. Our main program is our home repair program, which culminates every year into our National Rebuilding Day, which occurs on the last Saturday in April. National Rebuilding Day efforts encompass a year of planning, which includes selecting a targeted Chicago neighborhood and a suburban Cook County area in which to work. We solicit community partners, we perform outreach, and we process close to 300 applications a year from homeowners in need of our services. We pick these communities in advance, knowing that we want and plan to be there at least 2 to 3 years, just to make a bigger impact in those communities that we serve. For our National Rebuilding Day efforts, we partner with different companies, groups, skilled labor union, trade members, and other partners to bring together over 2,500 volunteers and repair the homes and improve the communities of local residents so that they may continue to live in warmth, safety, and independence. Our goal is to provide repairs that will help to keep them, our longtime residents in these communities, and these homeowners living safely in their homes, because Rebuilding Together believes that everyone deserves a safe place to live. We realize that these repairs and improvements are repairs that they would otherwise not be able to fund or obtain on their own. You know, all of our homeowners and clients are low income, or they're seniors, and, you know, unable to maintain the homes that they've lived in for 30, 40, 50 years. So on National Rebuilding Day, our teams come together and repair about 80 to 100 homes that belong to low-income homeowners, the majority of which are seniors. The home repairs are done on one day and encompass work that includes carpentry repairs, plumbing and electrical improvements, painting, cleaning, organizing, and general home modification improvements. We're really lucky to be to have such great partners in the unions who provide carpenters, plumbers, and electricians to volunteer their time on as part of our efforts as well. All of the repairs that we do are geared toward keeping the homeowner living in a warm, safe, and dry condition, and helping our seniors live independently in their homes. So all that said, when approached with the opportunity to partner with CEDA, it was an absolute yes. Really an opportunity to work with Harold and his team. I was very excited about that opportunity. So, and really it was the perfect partnership and collaboration. For us, a partnership with CEDA would mean that our homeowners would qualify for their services, or our homeowners that would qualify for their homes, for their services, would receive some crucial and very needed weatherization improvements that we would otherwise not be able to provide. It was a perfect complement to the other repairs that we were providing and made it a true, warm, safe, and dry effort for everyone involved. And it's been about 5 or 6 years that we've been working together. The process has really improved greatly, and And, really, I consider the CEDA team part of our Rebuilding Together team because we work so closely and collaborate so well. It's been a great pleasure.
Thank you so much for that information and background, Wanda. So as Wanda and Harold both talked about, right, is coming together, convening, there's always got to be a starting point, right? And I think that this slide here, it talks like mission alignment. And if you read the mission of CEDA and the mission of Rebuilding Together, right, it is perfect synergy and perfect alignment. Then it really showcases what partnership really means and how to utilize effort to outcome to maximize results. So what I wanted to do quickly is I wanted to introduce Lisa Miranda and give her an opportunity to start to talk about some of the communities that we served and kind of talk a little bit about the process of how CEDA and Rebuilding Together work together, how we started, maybe some of the challenges we faced, and some of the process changes that we made to kind of move the partnership forward and get it to where it is today. So if Lisa, you'd please join into the conversation.
Sure. Let me. That's a lot, John, and I'm going to try to cover all of it.
I'll advance the slides to help you out.
Please, yeah.
Oops, Lisa, you're muted. Could you unmute yourself?
There
please?
we go.
You go.
I'm sorry, I don't know how to read. Okay.
You might. It happens.
All right. Well,
no worries.
so
we can hear you now.
Very good. I hadn't said much yet. So the way Rebuilding Together works is we identify specific neighborhoods within the Chicagoland to work each year. They are always neighborhoods that have a high amount of home ownership and a high amount of seniors. And we just really quickly learned working with CETA that our client overlap is nearly perfect. That if they qualify for Rebuilding Together, they are almost certainly going to qualify for the weatherization program. And the neighborhoods that we identify are also normally high interest neighborhoods for them as well. They are able to work a little bit more city and county wide than we are. Simultaneously, they're able to do that. We move around the city and get to different people, but our neighborhoods were neighborhoods that they were very interested in, and because of the way we work, we have a relationship with the homeowners where we're able to identify for them things that they may be interested in and then encourage and follow through to make sure they make those applications. So in the beginning, CETA and we worked together to kind of share client lists, or who had received CETA services, who hadn't. How can we prioritize those? How can we make sure that they are moving through the channel of both of our organizations in a way that makes sense so that the client receives the most services possible? So if CETA had already had them in their system and had done some sort of a home inspection, they could share with us what items may need to be taken care of before they can come back with the weatherization. Conversely, if we had them in our system and we had done a walkthrough, then we would know this was a prime candidate for weatherization. So really, it was us learning how each other worked in a really intimate way. Like John and his key crew members, they volunteer with us. That we've been to their offices and been to their meetings, and really we have a relationship not just with Harold and John, but I could list 10 people at CETA that I know that have volunteered with us and who truly understand our program at a really deep level. And that is what makes this partnership work. And we both have the same commitment to looking at homeowners and getting them the maximum that we can together. So it was really, because we used to do some weatherization in these homes independently, but once we saw CETA and the quality of work they could do and the laundry list of things that they were able to do, some of which were never on our list, it was very easy to give them that work, to facilitate them to be able to do that work for our clients well, and then backfill with other things that we could do just to maximize that for our clients. Because Wanda had mentioned that we do have a very good relationship with the skilled trades, so we're very often able to take care of electrical issues and plumbing issues. We have access to a lot of volunteers, so if there is clutter in the home, we are sometimes able to take care of that as well. If it's a hoarding issue where the homeowner may not be ready to get rid of that, then that can be challenging, but we can still help them work through that. So it's this really that give and take that we've come up with over the last few years that has really helped us develop our partnership. And we're always just looking for the next opportunity. How can we bring CETA in a little bit earlier to our process? How can we identify the homeowners that are the best fit earlier? You know, how can we educate our homeowners to know that this is who they should call if they're having this sort of an issue? And that's just an ongoing process for us that we're always improving. You can see a picture of one of our community meetings right now that we've brought all these seniors together. These are all homes that we'd be working on in the spring, and we have CETA come in and also present their program. Like I said, there's so much synergy between our programs as far as who's going to qualify, but we still have to shepherd our homeowners through all the hoops of qualifying, that there is additional paperwork that they need to do. They may need to update things. And because of our, kind of ongoing relationship with the client over our program year, we're able to really shepherd that and make them understand how important it is to submit that in order to receive these really great benefits.
Yeah, Lisa, that's great overview as we're going through the slides. I just wanted to chime in for a second and share that the really impactful part of the process is that once we identify the homes that are eligible that have not been previously weatherized or might be over income for whatever reason, we then define. CETA goes out and does what we call a home verification to identify, is there reasons for that home to be deferred? And as on the previous slide, we did note that on the right-hand side of the slide, reasons that the weatherization assistance program may not be able to move forward with work. So we share that information with Rebuilding Together's team. They generally have identified these homeowners in 6 to 8 months in advance of National Rebuilding Day. And then they identify house captains that literally work with these homeowners for 6 months leading up to the actual rebuilding day. So there's good communication about, okay, we may get 100 homes, maybe we can only do X, but here's what you guys can do. And then what they will do is we will not service those homes until post rebuilding day, because then the deferral reasons would be rectified. CETA would then go verify that the deferral reasons were addressed, and then we would put the client into the pipeline to receive weatherization. So I just wanted to digress for 1 second and just kind of lay that out. It's an important part for the community action agencies as they have specific deferral reasons and programmatic compliance to follow. So I think that Lisa has done a great job explaining the nuances of the program. I think Harold and Wanda have really delved into how do you come together, even when the first time around it didn't work, right? I think that's a huge part of community action and being committed to the mission and not giving up. I think everybody probably not only, in our network and on this, joining this webinar today, once we have one thing in common, it's determination and perseverance to, within our hearts, do what's right to help people. And it's really important in this landscape that we work in. So I think that, some takeaways to talk about is, always be on the lookout for opportunities. As I stated, Wanda and Harold recognized the opportunity for some collaboration. We recognized immediately one of the first things we did was we have to ensure organizational mission alignment. It's really hard to have a strong partnership if two organizations have a different cause and are moving in different directions. But this was love at first sight, if you will, for the partnership when we came together. Is somebody trying to ask a question by chance? No? Okay. After getting through this first phase is right, we build the relationship, we learn each other's programs. And as Harold referenced, there was an initial meeting, but it took a little bit of time for Wanda and Lisa and myself and our given team members to really understand how the process works. And, the first time around, we probably didn't maximize the efforts and the service to the clients, but we learned a lot. We learned that we needed to engage sooner, get involved in the process, a lot sooner, because the intake process on the weatherization assistance program side, you know, has some more information that's required versus Rebuilding Together's process. And so, you know, it's not just about mission alignment, right? It's about how do we strategically align the processes to ensure that both organizations are maximizing their effort to outcome, because that's the other part of it is if somebody's, you know, doing 90% of the work versus 10%, it really stresses that partnership. And so there's got to be a really close balance of 50-50 split to really, you know, create the impact. You can't get the work done and keep everybody positive and excited if they feel like, you know, they're being overworked and the partnership isn't benefiting each other. So part of the, you know, building a relationship, you know, it wasn't just as Wanda and Lisa both mentioned, it's not just with Rebuilding and CETA, it's also the ability to interact with the house captain and this other skilled trades team and the volunteers, tying all that together. It's a big part of CETA's staff that provides assistance on this day to understand the expectations and deliverables of Rebuilding Together, right? We talked about how everything has to line up. So, you know, there's a lot of back office collaboration that happens leading up to this day of partnering. And so what I would say is anybody tries to build any partnerships, you can't get discouraged right out of the gate, but you have to be steadfast in your mission and really focus on what it takes to get the job done. Because if we give up, we could lose an opportunity. So you have to get a little frustrated, then everything starts to align and works out well, because at the end of the day, we're not fighting for ourselves, we're fighting for those people who need our help. And that's really what this is all about. And yes, this partnership helps us, if you will, you know, meet our numbers or our goals or our objectives. But at the end of the day, as everybody on the panel has stated, it's all about getting the benefit to the people who need our help. So we didn't talk about the MOU too much. I know that they said that this recording was going to be available. There is contact information if anybody wants to reach out to any of us. And the MOU, thank you, Wanda, is not something that is overly complicated. It really lays out, you know, some general language and 4 or 5 bullet points about what each organization is expected to deliver in the partnership. So I think that will, you know, sometimes we hear MOU or agreement and we think like, oh my God, there's all this legal language and all. Look, it doesn't have to be complicated. An MOU is just an understanding of how people are going to work together, and you're given CEOs or department heads can work together to really create something that is simplistic in writing, but obviously, you know, making that come to fruition has much greater impact and more challenges. But I think that the way that we've stacked the learning opportunities year after year, I almost would say that like that's expected. It's not even a challenge, the things that have happened and the way that we've responded collectively as a team to really work through that and, you know, say, hey, this won't work for CETA. Can you guys give a little here? Or you guys saying CETA, can you guys, you know, do this? Some areas each organization could give and some we couldn't, right? We all have different rules, policies, and compliance that we have to follow. So what I want to do at this point is I want to go ahead and share everybody's contact information. I'm going to leave this slide up, and I'd like to revert back to any of the panelists if they think that there's anything that they'd like to add further to the conversation, make some comments. We've got about 5 minutes here before we open it up for live Q&A.
John, if the panelists are okay with this, I'd like to really underscore and emphasize the relationship. This is a collective and a collaborative relationship. Collective, when I say collective, it means a little give and take on both ends of what will it take to make this work for the clients. And so as, you know, speaking on behalf of CETA, we were in disarray. We had to really make some changes. And of course, we made some changes along the way, but we had to tailor our structure without losing focus on our mission to fit this relationship that we had with Rebuilding Together Metro Chicago. And so I would encourage all of you to take a close look at these partnerships. And, you know, I'm probably not telling you something you don't already know, but I would be remiss if I did not emphasize the importance of a strategic understanding of what you want to do, how you want to align your missions in order to make a big impact in the communities that you serve. Rebuilding Chicago, rebuilding Metro, rebuilding together Metro Chicago has been the right relationship, right partnership. But I will tell you that it didn't start off, with ease. We had to go through some pains of really agreeing to disagree and agreeing to wait and, just trying to better understand each other. But we got there, and we're continuing to make those improvements. So again, don't take the partnership for granted, that it's going to fit together like a puzzle initially. Some pieces you're going to have to trade out on your end or their end to make it fit a little bit better. So thank you.
Thank you, Harold. I appreciate those closing comments. And Lisa and Wanda, do you guys have anything else that you'd like to add? Anything that you can think of that, not even within this partnership, but maybe within other collaborations or partnerships that you guys have that could be beneficial to the audience today?
Sure. I just want to, everything that Harold said was right on point, and I completely agree. It's been an amazing collaboration for us. Rebuilding together, we do, oh gosh, I apologize. There's a ringing in the background. But Rebuilding Together is really good at what we do, and CEDA likewise is excellent at what they do, and being able to recognize both of our experiences and expertise, and then bringing them together was the most meaningful out of this project and this collaboration. Harold is an amazing and dedicated leader and truly an inspiration to the nonprofit community. His team leading the effort with us is also just inspirational, because they're not only truly dedicated to their jobs, but they're dedicated to their mission and really followed through on this partnership, and often going above and beyond. If we reach out for whatever reason, someone is always there to respond. We always remain in continued communications so that our planning efforts can coincide. And in fact, as Lisa had talked about it before, this team is just so committed that they also volunteer with Rebuilding Together on our National Rebuilding Day, which, isn't necessary, but it's just knowing that they wanted to feel a part of it and understand our process better. And I think that was the point of the first year of them volunteering and kind of getting to know, what we do and how we work. But then seeing them come back year after year, and their team members who are volunteering, those numbers growing and actually being a part of our team truly made this partnership work. And I truly believe that is why this works. It's just a commitment to our mission and the commitment to serve homeowners in need. And everyone is just amazing in that part.
Thank you very much, Wanda, for that. We appreciate it. And Lisa, anything you want to add in before we move to Q&A?
I think that really sums it up. I'd love to hear the questions we have.
Great. One thing I wanted to speak to right before we leave is outside of Rebuilding Together Metro Chicago's relationship with our weatherization program. At random times throughout the year, they'll give us a call and say, hey, we have a potential client or a past client, their furnace went out, can you help us? So we immediately connect them to our emergency furnace assistance program. So the relationship through needs of the community, right, which is why we're here, has evolved into helping the community in different ways, not just on National Rebuilding Day through this partnership. And I think that's another important thing to point out of how the connection we have as two organizations tied together really goes above and beyond the original intent of the partnership to help people in need. So thank you, everybody, and
John,
I appreciate
I'm going to contradict what I said before, and I do want to say one more thing.
Go ahead.
And that is that the great thing, one of the great things about our relationship is that suddenly we have access to each other's partners. That, you know, that we don't just bring ourselves, we bring the plumbers union and the electricians union. CETA does not just bring themselves, they bring to, you know, LIHEAP, which I don't know how many acronyms I'm just throwing out that people don't know, but other programs within the city that they consider their most trusted partners before they'd ever met us. And that really snowballs into a complete package for the homeowners we all serve.
Thank you, Lisa. It's a really, really valid point how the partnerships are stackable and creates a volume of resources to the community. So once again, I appreciate all of the panelists and your time and the effort in making sure that this partnership stays strong and that we continue to serve our community. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Lindsay and see if they want to address any of the questions and to the panelists.
Yes, thank you very much. So we've got a question, actually a few questions about how does one go about finding a local office, a Rebuilding Together local office. Lots of questions about how to find this kind of assistance in places that aren't Chicago. So I understand you four are in Chicago, but what can you offer for the folks that aren't?
So we do have, you know, as I said, you know, we're part of a national organization, and rebuildingtogether.org is a great place to start if you're looking for a local chapter in which to partner with. I am also available if you want to shoot me an email. I'm happy to try to make the connection as well with another executive director or another team lead. You know, just know that many of the Rebuilding Together chapters, you know, may work a little differently than our affiliate. You know, some are all volunteer based, and some are not. Some are large, some are small. As I'm sure, you know, it's probably different across the country, but we're happy to make that connection. But rebuildingtogether.org is also another way to see, you know, who is in your community, and see if there's a collaboration there. But I'm sure reaching out, all of the affiliates would be happy to have a partnership like this, because it would expand on the work that they're able to do, and really everyone is always looking for more partnerships in this effort as we try to, you know, provide, you know, as many wraparound services as we can for our clients.
Great, thank you. Next question, can you share the MOU? We can certainly send that out if you have an MOU example. We will in follow-up from this session. We're also looking for a great, John, you gave a great description of the challenges in getting the details right. Can you give an example of those challenges?
Sure. So one of the challenges we spoke to, you know, getting involved earlier, right? So it's important that when the Rebuilding chapter is qualifying their clients, that you try to qualify in tandem for several different reasons. One, there are different programmatic requirements per entity, so you have to deal with that. And we have to ensure that the communication stream is crystal clear, that if CETA is communicating with Rebuilding, that we're ensuring they understand if they're asking their clients to come to the table with their documentation, that they have to bring that extra documentation, right? The whole goal is to provide the client with the maximum benefit with the least resistance, because when you start to go back to the client over and over and over, they become discouraged, right? They're worrying how they're going to pay their utility bill or feed their children. They're not worrying about how they're going to gather all of these documents. So that was one of our challenges initially, and CETA didn't have good, clear communication as to what was required by the program in order to get the client served. So we worked through that, and now we have a much better process. As I mentioned, they start to screen their clients 6 to 8 months in advance. So now at that 6-month mark, that's when we're there with them. You've seen the slide where our current Director of Energy Conservation was there presenting on CETA. And usually when we do that, we actually have staff there to assist Rebuilding to take the application. So that was another change that we made. Instead of expecting rebuilding to understand how to gather our documents and fill out our applications, we were like, hello, why don't we just bring our people there? And so we would have like 4 or 5 people at a table off to the side, you know, all set up remotely to then engage the clients and do the intake at the events.
Great, thank you. And forgive me if some of these are repetitive. I just want to make sure we address all of the questions. For Lisa and Wanda, can you list some benefits that you offer that the home that WAP can't fund?
So our program for a single family that it's different from CETA in that we do not have a sort of a list of things that we do. We really partner with the homeowner to discover what in their home can be worked on to keep them warm, safe, and dry. That being said, it's often falls into a few different categories what we are doing. So things that we do in addition to weatherization is we do minor plumbing, electrical, and carpentry repairs. We do a lot of ADA modifications, adding grab bars, handrails, assistive equipment to get in and out of the bathtub. We work with we have a window partner that will replace windows. We do a lot of flooring repairs, both, you know, tile, but also subfloor. Depending on the home, we can sometimes do some structural repairs as well. So it really varies home to home. The things that we can't do is we can't do major roofing repairs. We can't do foundational repairs, and we don't do tuck pointing. But truly any interior repair, we try to match them with a resource that we have that would be able to tackle that.
I wanted to piggyback onto Lisa's answer. And one of the most impactful parts for WAP agencies is, you know, when you do interior drill for insulation in a home, you have hundreds of holes that are put in the walls. The WAP program does not allow you to paint. It allows you to prepare the surface to be painted. They paint. So they'll come in on National Rebuilding Day, and I think almost every home, and if it's needed, they essentially repaint the whole house in a day or a day and a half. So that's a huge benefit to the client. If the WAP agency gets in advance of Rebuilding Day, now the client doesn't have to have that stress of, can I afford paint? How long do I have to see these patched holes in my walls every 16 inches on center by 4 high, or whatever a contractor's process may be? So that is a huge, huge benefit to the WAP partnership from that aspect.
Fantastic, thank you. We have a couple minutes left, and so I just want to ask our panelists if they have any last thoughts, any more comments that they want to make before we close out. I remind you that we will have a survey in the chat. Please, we want your opinions and your reactions to this session. Meg Power is our energy partner at the National Partnership. She helped pull this panel together. So she's an excellent resource as well for all of this information. And I do want to direct everyone to the Community Action Partnership website. So please take advantage of the offer and the opportunities that we have available at our national office. Lisa, John, Harold, and Wanda, last comments.
I would like to say that we are in unprecedented times where we have to operate very differently to really take care of the most vulnerable population of individuals. A relationship partnership such as this is critical to getting to that end result. And so I would encourage all of you to take a very innovative approach, do something a little different, think about it very differently in trying to get there to make this happen for those that need our services. We can't do it, community action cannot do it all by ourselves.
I totally agree, Harold. I think, you know, if you haven't thought of it, of doing something like this before, now is definitely the time. You know, these are challenging times for everyone. And, you know, even within Rebuilding Together, you know, there are things that we can't do because of COVID and the mitigations. So, you know, these partnerships really, truly extend, you know, many parts of what we can do and what we can't do. And so, you know, we're grateful to be able to continue this relationship even in these challenging times. And so now is a perfect time to reach out and try to make this work, and at least, you know, start the planning for next year, because you might have that much time to plan. So.
I'm impressed that we are right on time. So I just want to thank our panelists again for pulling this together and for giving us your time. The survey is in the chat, and the entire presentation will be available probably tomorrow to watch, and for the next 30 days on our website. So thank you for joining us. Thank you to our panelists. Enjoy the rest of your morning or afternoon, depending on where you are.
Thank you very much.